And this is what the New World Order is. New World Order is what Hitler called for. And think about it, folks. What did Hitler want? He wanted to unify Europe and take over the world, didn't he? Well, we seem to see that Europe has been very well unified in the last couple of years, whether they wanted to or not, with the European Union. It's given them all one currency. And now you've got America saying we need to sympathise with Europe and take on the European model. And basically we need more cooperation with Europe. And Obama goes over there and makes all those speeches about how much he respects the Europeans and wants America to become more European. Now, you see what's happening here, folks? America is now being sucked into Europe as well. They're doing it without all the wars. They're making you feel like you're the good guys and you've been out helping all these people. But really, you're just being all sucked into Europe. We're all being sucked into Europe. That's how it's all working. This whole thing of Germany wanting to unify Europe and then take over the world is exactly what's happening. Can you see this? Can you see what's going on? And the bloodline that's running it, the British bloodline, the line on the British throne, which is related to European monarchy, is actually the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha bloodline. It's a German bloodline. This is the same people. This is the same family. They've unified all of Europe through control of the monetary system. And now, through the control of the monetary system, they are merging America with Europe. It's becoming the North American Union. The whole of it is joining together. You can see how this is happening with this flu and everything. You can just see what's going on, folks. I mean, stand back and have a look at it all. You know, all of America's merging. It's all going to merge into Europe. It's all going to become this one world government. It's all going to be run by this Hitlerian Nazi group of people. That's what's happening. This is what this bloodline is doing. This is where Hitler tied into it. You know, the whole of World War II and World War I were just a scam. World War I was basically a corporate takeover of Germany. We had a German family move into England and then basically have an argument or a fight with their cousin and say, well, you're out and we're going to take over your country and we're all going to merge the countries. And what you basically saw was a corporate takeover of Germany by the British side of the bloodline. And we called it World War I. And then these people stood there and pretended they were enemies again. But they weren't. Germany and Britain were never really enemies. Not the bloodlines, only the countries. The bloodlines had it all planned. It was just playing the people against each other. And they used Germany as an opportunity to run a beta test, to see how all of these mind control experiments would work, which was a lot of what all the death camps were all about. It's just they had all these people all completely messed up on fluoride. They did all those experiments, Dr. Mengele, all these terrible experiments he did on people. This is all documented that they did all this stuff. And then after World War II, when they got to the end of what they wanted to do, they exterminated a lot of Jews to get sympathy for the Jews and so that they could move in and take over Israel and basically use Israel as Israel is just a private estate of the Rothschild family, folks. That's all it is. It's like a big weapons development center for the Rothschilds. They can go there and they can experiment with all sorts of biological weapons and all sorts of stuff without any oversight, because you can't say anything against Israel, can you? If you do, you're an anti-Semite. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then all of this has been perpetuated by these families, by these bloodlines, so that when anybody looks at the problem, they go, oh, it's the Jews. Look at what the Jews are hiding. Look at all of this stuff. You know, the Holocaust figures have been botched. And all these things that they say. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. Well, they don't sit back and they don't look at the bigger picture. Who ran the whole thing? Who's running Israel? Who's ran World War II? Who's running the American and British banking systems? Who's running the whole lot? It's the banking dynasties. This is what the Illuminati is, and this is what the Illuminati plan is. The entire World War II scenario was a setup, folks. It was a setup so that they could do exactly what they're doing now. Can you see how this works? It's really, really complicated. And you probably think I'm nuts, but this is truly how it works. I think I've probably been babbling, and it's probably time for a break, so we'll have a break. and I'll come back after the break and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Well, welcome back, folks. Like I was saying before the break, it's so hard to try to get people to understand what's going on and get people to understand how this whole thing has been orchestrated. And this swine flu that's being released and all this sort of stuff, I mean, there's so much going around about that. And people ringing up the power hour saying there's trucks shipping out swine flu and there's trains waiting outside our towns and all this stuff. Listen, folks, they don't need trucks and trains and all this sort of stuff to transport swine flu. All they got to do is send a few vaccines out, a few vials of medicine. That's all they need to send out, folks. And it's not like you load this stuff on pallets like boxes of cornflakes, You don't need a truck. Not for a contaminated vaccine. I really do suspect that this is a beta test. I mean, maybe these trains are for something. I don't know. Who knows, folks? But a lot of it is just paranoia. Because when you understand what the real issues are, and you stop all the division, I'm better than you, it looks like I was right and you're wrong, and all this sort of stuff. Well, stop with the division, folks. Stop with the division. Understand that information is just information. If we put all the information into a pool together in the center of the room and start looking at it and piecing it all together, it's a jigsaw puzzle. If we all look at it objectively, we can see the bigger picture. We can see the whole picture come into view. It's not a matter of anyone trying to big note themselves or become the next big name or trying to say I'm right and they're wrong. Most people are right to a greater or lesser degree. A lot of people are wrong. A lot of people just speculate without any investigation. And are there people out there that are putting out disinformation? Well, of course there are. I mean, if you were as smart as the people that are running this show, you would certainly want to put a lot of control into the opposition. Who knows how many of these people are just disinformation and how many of them are simply caught in their own little perspective of what's going on. Who knows how many of them are actually right and seeing the bigger picture. But it seems strange that no one is really saying the whole thing. No people seem to want to look at how it really goes with the bloodlines, how it all really ties together, how this whole thing is being orchestrated, where all of these different factions come into it. Where do the Jews fit into it? Where does the UFO stuff fit into it? Where does the bloodline stuff fit into it? Where does the banking system fit into it? Where does World War I and World War II fit into it? Where does the whole thing fit together? How does it all fit together? How does it all go back to this bloodline that goes back to ancient times? Once you start looking at it, folks, it all becomes clear. It really does become clear. And this is what's happening. And they're keeping people so distracted with all of these ridiculous trappings of our society. And all the people out there in the truth movement are all listening to different people, and everyone's caught up in the ego thing of it all. Everyone's caught up in the who's right and who's wrong. Who do I follow? Who's my guru? Oh, I won't listen to this guy because this guy said something bad about that guy. And come on, folks. I mean, just look at the information. What are you, sheep? You don't need to compare all of these people and say who's right and who's wrong. What you've got to do is you've got to discern what is correct and what is not correct. It isn't a matter of them being right or wrong. To a lot of these people, they are right in their own minds. They are right. Everything they've investigated, they believe. And good on them for investigating it. It's up to all of us to now look at all that information and discern what's really happening. Because no one is really going to tell us the whole story, folks. We've got to look at it for ourselves. And what's happening is, like I said, folks, there is a Nazi bloodline that is in control of this. It's not a Nazi bloodline, but it's the bloodline that controlled the Nazis. This whole thing is still going on. We were just fooled into believing that World War II was the end of it. When Hitler disappeared, that was the end of it. That's what we were fooled into thinking. But that's not true. None of that's true. The war's still going on, and the same people are running it. Now, they plan on depopulating this world to a very, very large degree. And we can stop that. We can stop that by waking people up around us. Understand how the energy works. I keep talking to you about energy and how everything is this spiritual energy and this electrical energy and photons and phonons and all the stuff that I go on with. I'm sure you can go back and listen to any of my radio shows. You'll find out that I've spoken about this stuff a lot. even if you're someone that's just new to this show, you'll hear that I have spoken a lot about quite spiritual things and quite esoteric things. They would seem to a lot of people. But if you can understand all of these esoteric things I've said, and you can put them on a physical level and approach them to your attitude, to the way, or apply them to your attitude and apply them to the way you think about things and the way you approach other people, the way you see yourself in the eyes of other people, the way you feel your connection or don't feel your connection to other people, then you can make a big difference in this world.